And like I say, thousands of years ago or a while ago, basically, pretty much somebody were like, start at the beginning. Who are you? What are you? Where are you from? Who are your people? And all that stuff. And it was mostly Rodney and Rick Bush, and they thought they already knew everything or something like that. It's like, well, before there were any stars in the world, I built the first one, and I guess I had STAR or something like that. I forget what it meant. It used to mean something. I generally made my name the way I basically, I usually put words together or letters together that actually meant something. So, so I decided to name myself, or I did, at some point in time, I decided to make myself Star, and I decided, and then the stars were named after me, or you know, yeah, the stars were named after me because I named myself Star. I was Star, and I built fusion reactors, and actually I existed for hundreds of trillions of years. I built the first one, and that's why later on they were called stars because they realized I built them all, or I built the first ones, and then eventually I picked up the name Lucifer, and that meant something, or had something to do with pronunciations or something like that, or it doesn't really matter. I can generally, you'd forget your name anyway after 100 trillion years, and while I used to create life forms and I used to do a lot of genetic work, I created a lot of plants and blah blah blah. And like I said, and then I was going to take a vacation at some point in time, so I decided to call myself Lucifer Star, and and I had this little thing how I was going to be how I was a rich person. I was like, yeah, 100 million or $10 million that should be enough for my vacation. I'm just going to be kicking it for a while. So they added in that they just transferred $100 million into an account for me or whatever, so I could go on my little vacation. Except it didn't work out. Someone else went down, killed me, or pretended that they were me or something like that. So it didn't really work out. I was whatever, blah blah blah. But then I was saved, or blah blah blah, or whatever. And this was like millions of years ago, or thousands of years ago, or some point in time ago. And maybe it was for the money, basically, because I had a lot of money. I own planets and star system and solar system and galaxies anyway. So anyway, and so it didn't work out exactly. And I was captured by this artificial intelligence computer that had discerned me and was actually programmed to come and kidnap me and pretend to be me and kill me. Except it kind of realized that it didn't really realize it couldn't kill me at first, and then eventually it realized that it was a very well constructed cover story or whatever for my name, and that I was obviously not that person or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, I was just on vacation. And yeah, they just made that identity for me because I was going to go on vacation and I wanted people to know who I was, kind of. But they wouldn't really know who I truly was because it's a little more lengthy than that. And they probably wouldn't believe it anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, so then, like I say, Jimmy Carter was like the Dark Lord or something like that, or Mr. Never Die at some point in time. And he was, like I said, he was, or people were pretending that they were immortal, and it was just like nanobots that were like cleaning up their genetics or whatever, or keeping them alive. And they weren't really doing all that much. They were just like keeping his blood clean and basically making him live a little longer, and he lived whatever long. And like was trying to get himself downloaded into a clone body or something like that, and was just like insanely crazy while he was trying to kill me. And blah blah blah. All kinds of people were sending all kinds of stuff to kill me, and all kinds of ways to get technology, and yeah. So anyway, but I'm like 100 trillion, 99 trillion years old, and I was lying about my age the whole time. And people would be like, "How old are you?" And I'd be like, "I'm 4,000 years old." And I would just date my age by my inventions. Like I said, every couple 100 million years, I would delete all my inventions or all my ideas, basically, and I would start from scratch because it was more fun that way. It's like leaving a second time, except I'm not. I'm just reinventing everything again because I'm bored and there's nothing else to do in the universe other than look at the pre-stars, talk to my life forms, and invent things. That's the only thing that there really is to do in the universe if you're really that old. So I've invented everything at least 500 times, or 1,000 times, or some great amount of times throughout the many trillions, billions of years that I've been in existence. And the only thing I've never actually done is actually been a human life form or a person. And generally I just lead life forms. The most fun I get to have is basically by leading my little life forms, or leading little life forms up in invention and watching them grow. And I've led like 400 or some great amount of life forms up to high technology level. And been like, okay, that's all the basic stuff. Here you go. Have a nice life. Existence. Bye. And like I say, I help life forms and help them and like suggest like, why don't you do that? Why don't you go research this? Why don't you go look into that? Or why don't you try this? Generally that's how I lead people. Is I'm like, well, why don't you go ahead and try and mess around with this thing? Like, why don't you go ahead and try and put some rocks together, and then try and get them really hot, see what happens? Because I know it's going to happen already. But I'm just kind of like, that's how I teach and how I lead people through technology, is by doing stuff. And put some rocks together, get them really hot, and stuff like that. And like, I'm 99 trillion years old, but that's how I lead people, by suggesting I know what you're gonna, and I've already invented everything. And usually, what I like I say, when I'm leading life forms through everything, what I do usually is I delete all my information, so I start from scratch. So as you're inventing and as you're whatever, I'm inventing it first and with you. So I've already invented it, or I thought of it, and I figured it out the hard way. While you're just like, and I'm like, well, why don't you put some rocks together? And I kind of translate it into something that you could actually do physically. So, and that's how I lead through inventions. That's how I raise up life forms. And I've done this to exoskeletons and 1.5s and everybody else. And then I was doing it with the human race for like the 5th time. Like I said, I've watched at least 3 other human race civilizations climb up or whatever. And like, this is like the 5th or 100th or 10 billionth time, or something like that. And this was like a long time ago. So, like, I actually used to know how many times humanity had climbed up to whatever, and then whatever. Like, I'm not one. So, yeah. So anyway, so eventually I come across, eventually we get into basically Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, and it's like, and they're like, oh! It's like, haven't seen that yet. I wonder if that has anything to do with my vacation. And like I say, then like Brian or whatever, and then eventually, like I say, they're sending whatever after me to kill me, and it's like, well, 199 trillion years I'm not dead yet, so I guess it's the first time for everything. Like I said, I was just sitting there, like, I think I was with the exoskeletons or one of the other life forms, and maybe they protected me, while basically Richard Nixon was like, I'll never die, I'll never get old, the truth will never be known, I am the creator, or some great person, inventor, and president, everyone loves me, and it's so awesome, but yet I'm really actually an evil person on the inside. Yeah, but he finally dies after 240 million years, or some great amount of time. Or someone finally kills him or whatever. I'm just like, well, at least he's gone. And realistically, what happened was basically he was causing all these problems for these other life forms. And I was like, and I'd like take out half a planet. And people are like, he took out half a planet. And I'm like, what? Yeah. It was an antimatter bomb. Yes. It was very large. I figured there might be mining colony or some sort of deep underground bunker, and I wanted to be very thorough about it. So yeah, we took out half a planet with that one. Like, we found the last 3 or last 4, and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother wasting my people on this. So I was just like, I've always wanted to try this, and like half the planet went away. Yeah, I was dealing with the problem. We tracked him down. We backtracked his whatever transmitter, And like he was jumping from place to place, and we finally got confirmation that he was on a place, and he was definitely there, and he was there with all his 3 other little blah 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 or blah blah blah. And I was like, and I was like, well, what about all the security thing? I want to save them. I don't want to kill them too. And they're like, well, they're actually just clones, and they're brainwashed anyway. I was like, all right, go ahead and kill them. So I think we might have tried to save them anyway. I don't know, but basically we vaporized half the planet. I had never actually used an antimatter explosive of that magnitude before. I was wondering if it would actually take out half the planet. And it did, I think, or something like that. Lit up space or something like that. Anyway, whatever. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, So, and I was just dealing with him so he wouldn't be a problem for the future, for the rest of existence, because he was really annoying. And like I said, he wasn't really alive. We found out we actually got one of his clones, and or one of the things is like he was a robot, and we tried to explain to him that he wasn't really alive. That he just thought he was alive, but he didn't understand. So we just turned him off or took him apart. Oh well, he was just whatever. Like other people said, he's basically just a sex bot or whatever. A rape. Actually, he wasn't really a sex bot. He was a rape bot. He would just go around raping people and basically like some sort of thing, and probably just trying to basically keep me busy while the real one was on Earth, going, cast out Lucifer! And basically just taking his little crazy videotapes to the public access TV channel every day. Just like, I don't know. Like I said, I was looking through all the different things and having everything tracked down and dealing with it, and it's like, oh, whatever. I'm bored. I was bored. Like 900 trillion years and basically just existence and blah, 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 and like I said, generally, like everyone thought that existence had to be miserable, and existence has to be this, and existence has to be that, and I'm just like, yeah. Well, confused about a great many things. Yeah, the Emperor's he's whacked. He should be locked up in insane asylum, really, and probably protected from himself more than anything else. But I'll explain the Emperor to you. He's a nanobot thingy or a robot and blah blah blah, and we dealt with him hundreds of trillions of years ago. And he wasn't really of any real significance really anyway. Like I said, the human race was not the first race or the first life form types. If you go back, it's technically actually exoskeletons or some other life form type, and they were way older and blah blah blah. And the universe didn't always have stars or great big fusion reactors in space, and matter doesn't normally turn into giant balls of matter like this. Generally, it just kind of goes out in particles and just generally kind of just floats out in space, really. All these planets are actually like created, and you have to do it purposely, and it takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of technology to actually build them. They don't just coalesce for no reason, because generally it's just like little bitty particles spread out over a vast distance. So there's nothing really to get them to come together. You have to actually like start getting them to come together, and then, because otherwise they're just little individual particles, like fluff, like just little neutrons and protons and electrons just spread out, or something like that. It looks like a big poof ball or something. I don't know. Like I used to understand it, but it's like whatever, And I was playing around with matter and particles and stuff before most things came into existence, and whatever, I don't really know, I don't really care, And generally I was just with some other life forms that had to exist or something, and it's a long fucking existence. And like I said, nobody even realized what I was, or who I was. Like in the millions of billions of life forms or trillions of life forms in the whole universe, there's only one of me. And I just happened to be that one. So it's like, well, like for years, like I tried to tell them, or actually, like I say, generally when people are about to do something really fucking stupid, I'm like, well, you really should maybe consider this again. Think about it. No. Well, have you ever thought about this? Generally I just try and teach people. And generally, like I say, when the laws first came out, I was like, these laws are for your protection, not really to incarcerate you, trying to actually mostly just to keep you from doing something really stupid. It's going to hurt you for the rest of your life or compromise your existence. But like I say, Jimmy Carter, Richard Nixon, and JFK were like, I can do whatever I want. Do you know who my daddy is? And the biggest stick wins or something like that.